Hello and welcome. You are watching a brand new edition of the AI Report right here on News 9. A lot has happened in the week gone by in the world of artificial intelligence, from Mythos, a new tool by Anthropic, to AI potentially replacing radiology as a field of science, and of course a little murmur of your heart giving you the ability to be found anywhere on planet Earth. All this and more on this edition of the AI Report. But first up, the big story. Anthropic has announced a new cybersecurity initiative called Project Glasswing. Now, this will use a preview version of its new frontier model, Claude Mythos, to find and access cybersecurity vulnerabilities. The model will be used by a small set of organizations, including Amazon Web Services, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Linux Foundation, Microsoft, Nvidia, Palo Alto Networks, and what have you, along, of course, with Anthropic, to secure critical software from cyber attacks. Now, the company said it's forming this initiative in response to capabilities observed in its general-purpose frontier model that demonstrate a level of coding capability where they can surpass the most skilled humans at finding and exploiting software vulnerabilities, or the ability for systems getting hacked. Now, according to Anthropic, Mythos Preview has already discovered thousands of high-security, zero-day vulnerabilities in every major operating system and web browser. But Anthropic is not putting this technology out in the market just as yet. This because of its cybersecurity capabilities and concerns that they could be abused. Now, what does it mean for India specifically? Well, the Indian IT industry and the government are studying the ramifications of Claude Mythos, Anthropic's unreleased model that has been billed as a powerful scanner and potentially a vector of undiscovered security vulnerabilities across the world's most widely used computer systems. Now, officials in India's Electronics and Information Technology Ministry, or METI, and at the Computer Emergency Response Team India, or CERT-IN, are deliberating whether Mythos's capabilities could mean in coming days. Now, Anthropic said its long-term goal is to release Mythos-class models once safeguards are developed to block dangerous outputs. Now, here are some other big developments in the world of artificial intelligence.
From Samsung's mega Q1 forecast to Musk's growing terafab project, this is AI Weekly. Samsung forecast its Q1 earnings would beat its entire profits last year. That's as a booming demand for AI infrastructure has constrained chip supply and driven prices higher. Samsung's seen a near doubling in chip prices in the first quarter alone, and estimated a January to March profit of more than $37.9 billion, over an 8-fold jump from a year earlier and well ahead of expectations. After Samsung's record high forecast, shares in peer SK Hynix surged on Wednesday. Markets questioned whether SK Hynix would be on track for similar results. Korea Investment and Securities raised its estimate for the chipmaker's full-year operating profit. It now sees a 28% climb to just over $146.5 billion, more than quadruple last year's numbers. That's after a stronger-than-expected price jump for two of its chips. Intel announced it's joining Elon Musk's terafab AI chip complex project. Joining SpaceX and Tesla, the tech giant will make processors to power Musk's robotics and data center ambitions. That's after the tech billionaire laid out plans to build a massive AI chip fab to power the EV maker's autonomous ambitions. Intel's shares jumped more than 2% after the announcement. Uber is using Amazon's custom chips to speed up computing and train AI models. That was according to the cloud giant. The ride-hailing firm is seeking advanced hardware to gain a competitive edge. This includes optimizing its digital interface, accelerating ride matching, and personalizing user experience. The deal expands the company's partnership, with Uber now able to use Amazon Web Services Graviton chips.
So these were the big stories from the world of artificial intelligence, but bigger disruptions underway seem likely, which we will discuss after the break, because after the break we will talk about the potential use of AI to replace practicing radiologists. That's right, we'll bring you a perspective on that on the other side of the break. You are watching the AI Report. Welcome back. You are watching the AI report right here on News 9. Do you still go to a doctor to get your reports diagnosed? Well, things could be changing in the advent of artificial intelligence. Well, AI and AI models are all set to replace radiologists for examining X-ray, sonography and angiography reports. Is that true? Well, and not just examining them, but also determining a diagnosis. Now, just weeks after the largest nurses' strike in New York City history, the CEO of NYC Health and Hospitals, Katz, has expressed his desire to replace highly trained radiology experts with visual language AI models. That's right. David Lubarsky, President and Chief Executive of the Westchester Medical Center Health Network, said his system has already seen success in deploying artificial intelligence for breast cancer detection. He noted that the tool misses very few cases and is actually better than human beings. Now, earlier, Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, had suggested in a podcast that AI could take over core radiology functions, allowing doctors to focus more on potential patient-facing roles only. Now, his comments have drawn criticism from radiologists the world over. Meanwhile, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang had voiced similar views at the US-Saudi Investment Forum, where he had said that radiology has largely been converted to AI-driven radiology. Now, he also noted that contrary to earlier fears, hiring in the field has increased alongside AI adoption. But a large section of the medical community largely begs to differ. Now, neuroradiologists have dismissed such claims, calling them sheer unadulterated fiction, while also suggesting that they may reflect industry storytelling rather than clinical reality, especially given the scale of investments as well as valuations in the artificial intelligence sector. Now, to discuss this and more, we have with us Dr Amarinder Singh Malhi, the Assistant Professor, Department of Radiology and the Interventional Radiology at AIIMS, New Delhi, and of course the OG, if I can call him that, Vishal Gondal, the Governing Council member, Tech Entrepreneurs Association of Mumbai. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. To you, Doctor, first, I really want to understand, with as much sort of your experience drawn in, this whole notion of AI replacing radiologists and not just examining reports, but also diagnosis. How far away from fiction is this, if not completely?
So, good morning, everyone, to all the viewers. The thing is, AI will not replace the radiologist, but yes, the radiologist who uses the AI will be replaced by those radiologists who will not use the AI. So you have to, there is a little bit of caveat. We have to think about that. The radiologist is not just pattern recognition, it involves clinical correlation, decision-making, accountability, and procedural expertise, especially in subspecialty like mine, where I have done cardiovascular radiology, DM in cardiovascular radiology, and endovascular interventions. So AI is an excellent at detection, quantification, and workflow optimization, but it lacks contextual judgment, ethical responsibility, and real-time availability, adaptability. So I will give you one example. So in our setup, we do coronary CT angiogram. Before that, we do calcium scoring. So if the AI will implement AI into it, if the calcium score is more than 400, we can go for angioplasty or bypass. But if the radiologist will sit beside using the AI, he will tell whether this calcium is diffuse, it is a mild disease, or it is causing significant disease. So if the calcium score is less than 100 also, sometimes it can cause significant disease. If it is more than 300 to 400, so clinical judgment is the paramount. So we have to see the decision making has to be given by the radiologist only, not by the AI. So,
all right.
So AI will not replace radiologists. So we have to think about that.
Okay, AI you're saying will not replace radiologists, but what I'm hearing you say, doctor, is that pretty much all the heavy lifting will be done by AI. It's just going to be decision making which is going to be left with the doctor. And how long before machine learning also sort of creates tools where that decision making and the probability of success can rest with artificial intelligence? Let's bring in Vishal Gondal, who of course has been the OG, like I said in my opening, when it comes to technology, when it comes to wearable, and also when it comes to AI. Vishal, how far away are we from that day where you actually don't need to visit a doctor, because after your scan is done, you get an AI tool to diagnose it, and potentially another AI tool to take a very, very highly educated, experienced decision on behalf of a doctor?
Good morning, everyone. I think it was a fascinating discussion, and I really appreciate the views of the doctor here. He's already admitted that 80% of the work would be taken by artificial intelligence already. But the way the trajectory of this technology is going, I would say that it will end up becoming more like 95 or 99%. Because if you think of what AI is really good at, AI is really good at pattern recognition. AI is very good at following a rule-based system, and AI is also very good at connecting all the dots. And this is exactly what is a job of a great radiologist. But when it comes to the last part, the human in the loop, I think that is really the most important element. And the human in the loop will really be the critical factor in making sure that the AI systems will really, really evolve. So I would say that the role of radiologist is going to get evolved to something like a pilot, where the plane is on autopilot, but you still require a pilot. Similarly, a lot of these AI systems will be able to do what we call deterministic prediction, because right now with hallucination and some other things, there is a black box over here where you don't know what rules are getting processed. But a lot of models are now getting specifically trained. And for example, TB is a great case in India where it is already deployed at scale. So I would say that on the screening side, early detection, prevention, 100% AI can come in. But when it is critical decision, like should you do a bypass, or should you do an angiography, or should you do any intrusive procedures, those use cases definitely would require a human in the loop. So I would say that this area of science is certainly something which is becoming very important. After your blood work, the other really, really important parameters are your CT scan, your MRIs, your X-rays, and all kinds of digital information. And AI is going to supercharge it and super boost it.
All right, so you're talking about human in the loop, but we heard Dr. Malhi really talking about human in the lead when it comes to AI and decision making when it comes to not just diagnosis, but also eventually going ahead with critical decisions, which could in some cases be life altering. But Dr. Malhi, I'm really curious to know that with all this evolution of artificial intelligence and all the use cases that we are seeing in the world of medicine and in the world of healthcare, how much of the focus on the education system right now is on artificial intelligence, not just for new doctors who are coming into the workforce, but also professional skilling, upskilling, reskilling of existing doctors to use AI, and not just use AI to make their work easier, but also use AI more responsibly to take care of any ethical lags that may exist in that eventual decision making that you were talking about?
So, as you have already told, the diagnosis is not a data-driven act, right? It is a human clinical process. When we do the diagnosis by interpreting the images, first of all, we have to check the clinical history, local examination, systemic examination, and we should know thorough history of the patient, so that before reaching up to the diagnosis. Yes, pattern recognition is the way forward for the AI. But yes, all the radiologists and all the physicians should know how to use AI effectively. It will help us. It will help us in basically the time is short, and even the radiologists are very. It's not more in whole India. So with the help of AI, we can reach up to conclusion. Yes, but decision making at the paramount, it will be lies with the radiologist. And suppose if the angioplasty has to be done or the bypass has to be done, that has to be told by the radiologist not by the AI-driven data.
All right, still holding the fort when it comes to doctors. But Vishal Gondal, I want to sort of, open up this discussion beyond just the field of radiology. And of course, 15 years ago when you were building Goki, introducing fitness bands to Indians, I think technology, which seemed very complex back then, was still far easier, wasn't it? That at the end of the day, a device is just checking your temperature, your blood pressure, your oxygen levels, your step count, something that technology was expected to do. But now the fact that you are sitting on the governing council member of, the Tech Entrepreneurs Association of Mumbai, what are the new innovations that we are seeing specifically in the world of health, wellness, where technology, especially driven by artificial intelligence, is likely to change medicine and health as we know it now?
So we are extremely focused on showcasing actually AI and the applications. In fact, next month we are organizing the Mumbai Tech Week, where we are going to have doctors, hospitals, fintech companies, entertainment companies, all showing off the actual use cases of AI. I think now AI is there, it's established. We no longer have to discuss what is AI. Now it's all about the applications and how they are going to be life altering. And especially in the world of healthcare, I believe that we are going to rapidly move from a reactive healthcare model to a preventive model. Now, between your wearable device, your blood report, and an X-ray, any AI model can do very, very good predictive analysis and tell you what risks you are exposed with. And that leads to what I call personalized intervention. So I think the whole idea of one size fits all in medicine will change, and we will get into a very, very personalized medication scenario. And that goes to the next frontier of AI, which is longevity. As you know, every billionaire out there is thinking of how can they live to over 100, over 120. And I think that's really where the true use of AI will come in, where we can take multi-omics data, we could use genetics, imaging, blood work, and then optimize your protocol to make sure you live over 100 years. So I would say that it's going to be really exciting. All these AI interventions are going to compound and make the entire humanity live longer and healthier lives.
All right, so living longer, potentially living for eternity, and that is also something, that companies which have similar sounding names are trying to work on. But Doctor, last word to you. This entire sort of evolution of medicine, of health services, beyond just detection, beyond just diagnosis, beyond just early detection, in fact, what Vishal was talking about, but also robotic surgery, which actually began well before the advent of artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, are we looking at a scenario where it's not just longevity that increases, but also quality of life through this early detection, through better probability of the diagnosis being correct, and the fact that no shaking hands when it comes to those complex surgeries performed by robotics? Are we really looking at, to borrow a phrase from Donald Trump, the golden age of health services?
So, as my friend rightly said, human in the AI loop. So that is the paramount here. We have to take the physician, the radiologist, the surgeons, everyone in the loop while doing anything with the AI. So there is a challenge. You can say that even the longevity phase also, the geriatricians, they are basically the physicians only. They have done the internal medicine, and then they have done geriatric medicine for the above 65-year age group. Yes, for the longevity scale, we can do this screening at a best with the help of AI. So AI will augment us. It will help us in getting the screening of lots of patients, because when we talk about screening, we need help of AI. But yes, but when there is decision making to doing any complex for complex procedures, complex surgeries, anything, there is a need for a physician. His mind will work more better than AI in these type of stuff.
All right, well, let us leave it at that. Thank you so much, Dr. Malhi and Vishal Gondal, for all your inputs to this very, very interesting and evolving story of the times that we live in. Well, we will leave it at that for this discussion. Thank you so much once again. And with that, we will slip into a short break. But imagine a little device that can track your heartbeat and spot you anywhere on the face of the earth. Well, that is the big story that we will discuss on the other side of the break. You are watching the AI Report right here on News 9. You are watching the AI Report right here on News 9. Well, imagine a remote device that can track your heartbeat from thousands of miles away. Well, this is not Crimea manufactured by science fiction. It is real, and the CIA may have just tested it in Iran. Well, what the CIA seemingly used was a futuristic new tool they called Ghost Murmur to find and rescue the second American airman who was shot down in southern Iran, flying his F-15 as the weapons officer. Well, the missing and wounded weapons system officer, known publicly only as Dude 44 Bravo, was hiding in a mountain crevice after his F-15 jet was shot down late last week in Iran. Well, the soldiers survived 2 days in desolate terrain as Iranian troops scoured the area for the American, who even carried a bounty on his head. Now, the secret technology seemingly uses long-range quantum magnetometry to find the electromagnetic fingerprint of a human heartbeat and pairs the data with artificial intelligence software to isolate the signature from background noise. And this is something which two sources close to the breakthrough had told the New York Times. Well, to discuss how this technology works, does it really work? Is it anywhere in the realm of possibility, or is it a figment of imagination of the CIA to potentially divert some attention on that rescue operation? We have with us Dr. Aranya Bhuti Bhattacharjee, Professor of Physics, BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus, and a DAD research ambassador. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. And just help us understand what exactly is quantum magnetometry, because quantum computing in itself was complex, and now we add another sort of conjoined adjective, magnetometry, to it. To the layman, just explain, what is this technology?
Well, I mean, the thing is this, that these are all sensors. Okay, these are all sensors. Sensors could be of, variety of ways. Magnetometry is basically dependent upon sensing the magnetic field. See, you have, like our Earth, and in that sense, the magnetic field is different, let's say in India or New Zealand or Australia. So in that particular way, then the sensors can actually, sense the magnetic field, where exactly that person is, or where exactly that sensor is.
So is that sensor, Doctor, a physical device which the pilot presumably was wearing? Because the Ghost Murmur makes one believe that potentially it is some sort of a technology where your heartbeat, the murmur of your heart, is being detected using a satellite. But are you trying to explain to us that it is a physical device which the pilots were wearing?
No, it's nothing to do with the heartbeat. See, the thing is this. Say, I will give you an example. Say for example, you have got aircrafts, ships, missiles, submarines. All these are actually embedded with sensor. These are called the sensing gyroscopes. So the way you control. I mean, let's say for example, a country A and country B is in conflict. So in that particular sense, country A, for example, is sending a missile somewhere where country B has got some kind of, armaments. So in that particular sense, they can control You know, it's like this, that the direction, not just the direction, but the angle that you can think of, that can be changed. So it's exactly, depends upon the magnetic field, and not just the magnetic field of the Earth, but also it depends upon the control from where it was launched.
All right, Dr.
And
Bhattacharjee, I get it. I guess I get it because it definitely seems very complex for a layperson like me to understand. But I think let's leave it at that because that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for your time and your patience in trying to explain to us what this quantum magnetometry really means. Well, of course, to put the story in perspective, the CIA has gone to town saying that it has been able to detect this ghost murmur on the pilot, has been able to isolate that pilot from a crowded area, cut out the background noise, and go ahead and locate him in a fairly dense terrain.
Of course,
Well,
that is exactly. You see, you see that whenever a war happens nowadays, for example, that every person is embedded with a sensor, which is basically detected from the base from where that person has gone. So that's how they are able to detect the person is, which place it is, and where from they can actually be extracted.
right. All right. Well,
So this is exactly based on sensors.
Got it. Totally based on sensors is the word coming in from the expert right here on the show. Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure having you here with us on Newsline to put this into perspective. And with that, we come to the end of this edition of the AI Report right here on Newsline. Thank you so much for watching. News continues right here on Newsline.